Okay, so last class we had this giant bottle. I showed you how to put these kind of cool looking wings on the side, and then I paddled it so that the foot would be more interesting down here, have a little bit of a dip in it. And then I kind of paddled the sides of the shoulder here, and this looks a little sunken in, so I'm going to have to do some repair here of this part. But it's getting pretty dry, so I don't want it to dry out anymore. This is actually perfect for carving, but if it dried out anymore, I wouldn't be able to add any more clay to it. So I'm definitely going to finish adding the neck and the rim today, and then I'm going to be cleaning it up a bit, and then I'll switch to the time capsule. So first thing I'm going to do before I add anything is just clean this up just a little bit more with some scraping and adding of clay. So I have two options here. I have this area that's kind of sunken in. I don't know how it got that way, I don't remember, but I could cut it out and I could put another slab of clay on top. Or if I feel like it's not super thick, I could just add more clay to this area, which, you know, potentially could be an air pocket, air bubble situation if I do that. So my choice is to just cut this out, and then I'm going to add another slab on top. Yeah, it's pretty thick still, so I'm glad that I chose that. Now, because this is a bottle, it doesn't really matter what it looks like on the inside, because unless they break it open, they will never see the inside. So I'm just going to see it's still pretty wet. It's got some nice texture to it. And I could actually take the same clay. This is a real smart idea, actually. Take the clay that you just cut out and just paddle it down a little bit into kind of a less thick piece, and then reattach it. So it's the exact same clay dryness as your body, which is perfect. And it's the same shape. It's just like a good use of this clay here. And it also won't collapse in on itself because it's already kind of dry. And then you can just paddle it right on there and then attach, and then you don't have that sunken in piece anymore. I'll do a little bit of scraping. Might want to use a wooden tool this time because my finger might not be strong enough because this clay is dried out a bit. But you know, I have a piece of wood here is just as good as the finger, but a little bit stronger. Voila! In a matter of a minute, we fixed our dent. Okay, I'm going to take a second to let this hydrate a bit. I'm going to just add a bunch of water and let it kind of drip down, and then I'll let it sit for a minute to absorb. This will just kind of help keep it moist. This is kind of the fun part where we start to get to, oh, what am I going to put on the surface of this? How am I going to do it? Am I going to paint it? Am I going to carve it? Am I going to do a combination of both? I think I'm going to do a combo of both, mostly because I want to show you guys how to do both. But I think it'll also look really cool, because this would be a nice surface to paint on because it's going to be nice and big and flat. And then I could do a little carving in the middle and maybe on the sides. I'm going to have to, of course, go revisit my drawing to see, well, what am I even putting on here? But for now, I'm going to just go around and really clean this up. Almost done with the forming of my body, but I just want to make sure it's exactly what I want it to be. So I'm using the scrapey side of the scraper because it takes off the clay that's kind of sticking out, and it also sort of flattens out the surface. It gives me a nice even surface. And it's pretty easy to smooth once you have, because this scraper, the teeth are really shallow, so it's not It's not creating like a mega texture. It's just helping you create a nice even surface. This is my chance to kind of stand back and look at the silhouette, make sure that my silhouette is nice and even. It is what I want it to be. You know, I'm going for symmetry, so symmetry is important to me here. If you're not going for symmetry, then the silhouette should be important to you. I want to tell you guys a little story about a moment I had with my college clay professor. This is hopefully going to inspire you to be strong in your work. So there was a time, I think I was a junior in college, and I was working in the clay studio, and she liked my work ethic so much that she actually gave me a spot. Yeah, I didn't have time in my schedule to take ceramics too, but I wanted to continue to work in the studio, and so she said, well, I will give you credit for ceramics too if you come to the studio every day and you make work and you read all these books about glaze chemistry and you do a bunch of glaze testing and yada yada yada. She basically said, if you work your butt off independently, I will give you credit for a ceramics 2 course. And she left it at that, right? So I thought, sweet, I've got all this freedom and I can just come in whenever I want, and and so I don't know. At the time, I was getting a double major in psychology um, and studio art, but my focus was clay. And I was totally overwhelmed, right? I was just like taking so many classes, and I also had a job, so I was just like working really hard, and I wasn't getting into the clay studio every day, you guys. And boy, did she calm down on me. She found me one day. I walked into the studio one day, and she just storms right up to me, and um, she says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm about to work on my piece." And she says, "No, what are you doing?" And I was just shocked at that, how forward she was with me. And she says, I asked you to be in here every day. I put my trust in you to give you that freedom. And I started throwing out all these reasons why I wasn't there. I have the job, and I'm double major, and I'm totally stressed out, and yada yada. And she just says, stop. She says, I don't need to hear all your excuses as to why you're not here every day. She's like, you either are or you aren't. And I said, okay. And I never not came in after that. I was in that studio every single day of that school year because of that conversation and her confrontation with me. And I am so, 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 so grateful for her for saying that to me, because she really challenged me, and she lit a fire under me. And she said, if you really care about this, you'll do it. You'll be here and you'll make it work. And I'll tell you, that was the place that I ended up wanting to be all the time anyways. And I really did. So, and then the next year, she did the same thing, but she gave me the entire corner of the back studio I went to UC Davis for my undergrad. I'm talking about that Professor Annabeth Rosen. I've told you guys about her before. She's awesome, but kind of scary. And she just said, go take over that corner, and I want to see you all the time. And she gave me complete freedom to do that, which is pretty cool. I don't even know if you could even do that anymore. She might not even be able to let students just independently work without being enrolled in a specific class. I think I was enrolled in it, but I didn't have to come to the actual, I think that was the issue. I didn't I had another psych class or something like at the time of that class that I had to take. So anyways, that's my story. And at some point, you know, if it's not me, it's going to be somebody else. They're going to be really kick your butt. They're going to challenge you to show up, no matter how hard it is, and push yourself. Okay, so I have scraped the entire thing, and I'm pretty sure it's kind of where I want it to be. I didn't scrape the bottom. I lied. Let me scrape the bottom. I mean, she's the reason I went to grad school for clay, and she's the reason I still work with clay and I teach clay, and she's the reason. That motivational speech and her insistence on my presence there. Alright, so now this is all nice and scraped. I'm even going to clean this up and put paper down. Now I'm going to spend just a minute or two paddling it, which helps get rid of that texture. I might even like the texture, or maybe I like the scrapey texture with the paddle on top. It's hard to get that paddle on the curved areas here, but I'm going to try. Another thing about that professor is that she was there every day. Man, she was there day and night. I never not saw her there. She was always working in her studio. Almost like it was an obsession. So look at the silhouette this way too. I'm noticing there's an inconsistency here. This one dips and this one does not. So it looks like I have to do a little paddle here. If I have anybody that's in a hub in this class, you guys are now invited and free to come work in the space. I think hubs are going to end soon because we're preparing for hybrid, but if you are on campus right now, maybe not today because we're almost out of class, but starting on Monday, you are free to come work in this space. I was a little hesitant before because I wasn't vaccinated, but now I am vaccinated and we're going to start school soon, so I am okay with you guys being here. And I would love to have you. Okay, I like that much better. Now I see like a really definitive foot here. Give me a heads up if you're going to come. Maybe shoot me an email and say, because I think I have to send your hub teacher an email. It's good practice. Good practice for when you guys come back. Okay. Wow, I'm really liking this form. I'm really liking it. I think I'm going to smooth it out a little bit before I add the neck. So to do that, I might take a wrung out sponge and I'm going to just kind of smooth it out a bit. I'm going to leave a tiny little hint of that texture because I think it makes it interesting. Texture doesn't have to be the same throughout either. You can change it up. On my original design, I have thumbprints along the base. So if I'm going to do that, I need to do it today, right? Because my clay is going to be too dry to even take my thumbprint after this. really enjoying working on these. Like I said, I've got so many. I've got 6. I'm making 3 time capsules and 3 bottles. I'm going to be sending a lot of messages out to the world this semester. Even though I've done the same design for each one, I probably will change them, obviously, because then that makes it more fun for me. And if you deviate from your original design or your drawing while you're working, that's totally fine. That's the creative process. Just as long as you're not deviating because you're running out of time or because you're lazy. Okay? Don't deviate because you're just like, I don't feel like doing that. Only deviate when it suits the design and it's a creative decision. Feels really good to work hard on something. Feels good in the end. You're proud of it. Okay, so now I'm going to add, this is not going to take too long, which is why I spent so much time on the body, is I'm going to add that neck. And the neck could be anything. It could be wide, it could be real fat, it could taper in, it could flare way out. You might want to think before you make this about how you're going to plug your bottle. How are you going to, contain what's in there. So you could steal like a cork from your parents and design it so it fits in there. A cork is a good solution because a cork will bend and squish, right? And you could probably stick it in there and you could tap, tap, tap it closed. So it would last as long as it maybe needs to be. But a cork is not really necessarily going to withstand, like if you throw it into a body of water or something, right? Eventually that water is going to get inside your vessel. So you could design a ceramic plug and just like a little mini lid and fire it in there. If you really wanted it to stick, after you fire it, you could put some epoxy on it and glue it on. So that might be a way. And then you might have to put a message on the bottle saying, you have to break this open to get the message. So think about that because that's going to kind of factor into your design. I think I'm actually going to make a little ceramic cork to put in here. And instead of having the break me message, I might just make it really tight and long. So maybe the flange really like sticks way down into the bottle. So you really have to shake it maybe to get it off, but you could pull it out easily. I think that would be a good solution. So, and I think it'd be fun to make the neck kind of start out here and taper in just a little bit. I really enjoy the shoulder on this, so I don't want to lose the shoulder. So I'm going to look down on top here. I'm going to try to get this even. Just going to sort of trace and pull back a bit. I'm just basically figuring out where I'm going to lay that coil down, making it nice and symmetrical. Maybe round this out here. I'm not going to cut that open yet. I'll probably cut it open once I get the coil on there. Okay, and then I'm going to roll just a little coil. Get all my dry clay pushed away. Do I have any questions so far? That's what I was planning also. What were you planning, Christina?
The same cork method that you were talking about, like making a tight ceramic cork and just kind of making it like so it doesn't fall out.
Oh, good. I'm glad that you have thought that through and came up with that. Yeah, I think that might be the best solution for this situation here. But you think about the glass bottles that they sent out, like what kind? They must have put just regular corks in them. All right, this is as much clay as I'm going to need. So let's score this up. At some point in your clay career, guys, I hope that you get a chance to work with different clay bodies too. Like, porcelain and red terracotta. I found this red terracotta from Alpha Ceramics in Sac and on Arden. No, is it on Arden or Eldana? And I always forget the other name. Um, and I started throwing with it, and I just totally fell in love with it. But the only problem with it was that it was really, really had a like huge amount of red iron oxide in it, which and it was blood red. Like you throw this clay in it, it just looks. It was so beautiful. But the problem with it making functional work is that it red iron oxide heats up in the microwave really, really, really hot. So if you put this thing in the microwave, you pick it up, you're gonna burn yourself. So that's I had to give up on that clay body because, but I was dipping it in the white slip, so that really, really red clay against that really, really white slip dripped on top of it was just so beautiful. Okay, so I've attached the coil. Now I'm going to spend a little time attaching it with my finger, that crisscross attach method that I have, where you sweep down at a diagonal all the way around, and then you go back and you sweep the other direction, just with your fingertip, and then on the inside as well. Okay, now because this is so fat, right, I need to pinch it up and sculpt it. I might even need to dart it because I feel like it might be too thick. But for now, I'm just going to work on getting that wall the same thickness. This is such a figurative looking vessel. Of course, this looks like the neck of a figure. I'm going to pinch it in a bit. You guys can kind of see the silhouette better. So when you guys come back to the classroom, I'm still going to be using this webcam, and I'm going to be projecting onto the screen so you can see, because I used to demonstrate in the middle of the room with you guys kind of surrounding me. I won't be able to do that. So I'm going to have to still find a way for you to see what I'm doing. So, but at least you'll be able to look over at me and you'll see me working on this in person too. So I like this, but I also kind of want to dart it. I want the neck to be longer. So I'm not liking this, how it flares out so quickly. So I'm going to make this a little bit skinnier. So to dart it, I cut out a little triangle on either side. And then I score this side, and then I score this side. So you can kind of see I've scored the inside and then the outside, because I'm going to lay it on top of itself and kind of pinch it. Makes it skinnier. Smooth it out, inside and the outside, pinch it. Do the same thing on the other side. Sculpting in the dark. You know, when you work on something, the same material, just years and years and years, everything eventually just starts kind of looking like you made it. You know, you just have this like style that happens, even if you're trying not to. Like, it's so frustrating sometimes because you're trying to do, like, if I try to do something really like geometric or minimalist or non-figurative, it just can't, it's harder for me because my style is not that. and it is always kind of like comes out naturally. So you guys are going to start seeing that in your work. Probably already do. I see it. I see it in those ceramic 2 students who have been working for a while. I see it definitely when I'm thinking about, I mean, Sienna, you've been in ceramics for, is this your 3rd year? I don't know if Sienna is with us, but.
It is so hard to work a computer when you have ceramics all over your
Oh,
hands.
I
But yeah,
know.
this is my third year.
Yeah, but is this your 3rd year, Sienna?
Yes, it
Yeah.
is my third year.
So
Yeah.
do you see a style emerging for
I would
yourself?
say so. Yeah, a little.
And how would
Um,
you describe that style?
like, I don't mean to say cartoonish, but it's definitely like it's like I have a like a it's a style that is less than realistic. Like it's like a realistic in a stylized way, I guess you could say.
Okay.
I don't know. Um, but yeah,
I would
yeah.
100% agree with that. Yeah, you definitely have a figurative style, but it has not a cartoonish, but like an animated sense
Mm.
to it, or
Mm-hmm.
like an exaggeration of certain proportions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
definitely. I'm kind of trying to organize your work over here for a big pass back, ceramic pass back. So I was looking at your guys' pieces recently, and I think you have a figurative head over here still, Sienna.
I do, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. With the blue, majority blue, but and then brown eyes.
Yeah, I think I see it over there on the shelf. So just so FYI, this isn't set in stone. I'm going to send an email as soon as we know when we're opening, and this goes for DL students too, distance learners. I'm going to be having a big art pass back. I'm calling it the big art grab. So you're going to be coming back on. There's going to be a middle school day and a high school day. And on the high school day, you're going to be kind of running through your classes. I'm going to have all your work out on shelves in front of my classroom. And so you're going to have to come grab your work there because I need these shelves, right? I need them for to teach this year's you guys. So bring your boxes on those days, and those are going to be the only days you have to come get your work. Because I need to do a big purge of work so that we can start over. You guys don't even realize how much work I have in this studio right now. It's crazy. Like almost a year and a half or more because a lot of the work that um, wasn't passed back when I was on maternity leave is still here too. Because COVID, when I came back to school, I was only here a month before COVID happened. And so I didn't have a chance to pass all that work back. So there's a lot of work here. Okay, so now I've got this neck. Let me show you this silhouette here. To my bottle. It's very figurative. Looks like shoulders and maybe like sculpted abs here, the hips. I'm not going to turn it into a figure, but I like that it kind of alludes to that because I am sending this bottle out to another human. So they're gonna see it and say, "Oh, cool! What is that?" Um, so now I have this. It's closed, right? But I need to cut that open. I am not ready to do that yet because it makes it strong when it's not cut open. So I have to decide if I really like this neck before I let it dry and possibly think about what that little cork lid is going to look like. I don't want it to be too fragile because if it is, it'll break anyways. So it's probably just going to be maybe like a little dome with a tiny little knob to lift it up. If you make it too complicated and elaborate, it will break. Unless you're just being really like doing a door drop or something that is not going to involve your bottle in a body of water bouncing around somewhere. If you wanted to make it more elaborate, you could do a door drop or just leave it somewhere in a public place. Don't take it to an airport, okay? Don't take it to an airport and leave it behind. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a little pinch pot and just see if I like that. So I'm rolling some clay into a ball, and I'm just gonna kind of do a little pinch pot. This clay feels a little dry. You guys are in the studio here with me too. We're gonna have sadly less time to work because we have to do pretty extensive cleanup. Okay, so you can experiment a little bit with your lids. You don't have to commit yet. You can try several different forms. This is what it would look like if there was a little cap on it, which is kind of cute. You could try something geometric. Like you could start off with this shape. You have to put a flange on it. Remember, I'll show you how to do that. And then you could build up some geometric walls onto it if you wanted to. So how do I do that? Well, maybe roll out a little slab. Yeah, in grad school, oh my gosh, you guys, I never left my studio in grad school. I was there. I got to work at 8 in the morning and I left at 10, 11 o'clock at night, sometimes 12. Always, always, always in there. No, I did not have a life. With the exception of, like socializing with my other grad school peers. But we were all in the studio together, so we were always socializing, but we were just working hard. Everyone was working really, really hard. And that was the best time of my life, being in those studios. I was in grad school for 3 years. So I had my own studio. Well, that's a lie. The first 2 years I had to share a studio space with another person. First guy his name was Ray Gonzalez. And he was a potter, and he'd throw teapots all day long, giant bowls, teapots all day long, and he was like a really technical guy. So he was very much into the glazing and firing process. So I learned a lot from him, and he was really nice. I love sharing my space with him. And then the second year was a guy named, what was his name? He was from Kentucky. It'll come to me. He had really long hair and he used to whip it around. Chad, that was his name. And he would just kind of whip his hair around all the time. And he was funny. He was a sculptor. I didn't really like his work that much, but he was a nice guy. And then the third year was my thesis year, which means you work on a giant thesis project for the big exhibition. And I had my own studio space out in the back. By the kilns, and I took over that space. I love that space. Okay, so I made a slab, and I think I'm just going to play around with it. I'm not committed to this yet. I just want to see, like, do I want it to be geometric? Does it matter? Maybe it comes up like this. You can play with clay too. You don't have to be married to everything you attach. And then I could put a top on that's flat with a little knob. What if I pinched it here? Maybe the Maybe the knob is a little pinched, finger pinch. Ooh, I like that idea. Maybe take a slab and you'll attach it like this, and then you'll pinch it with your finger so that whoever's taking that off can just pinch it. Try that. I'm going to clean this up a little bit. Sorry about the time capsule, folks. Today I was just going to add a coil or two and paddle it. So if you're struggling and you're like, I don't know what the next step is for your time capsule, you can always come to office hours. I'd be happy to show you. And next class period I will start with that. Just kind of got way into my bottle here. So I'm just going around and cleaning it up a little bit. And see, making sure it's nice. I can kind of clean this up and carve on it, and you want that lid to fit pretty tight. I'll probably add the flange after this sets up a little bit, so I'm not going to add it today. Okay, and then I was going to add this on top to pinch it, but I think I might do that down here. It's 11:20, so in about 5 minutes I'm going to ask you to clean up, which means wash your hands, take a picture of your progress, and I'm really going to be combing over your progress shots in the next couple weeks. This project and a small teapot at the end of the semester is probably all we're going to do for the rest of the year. So maybe with some other little thing mixed in, because you're going to be back and I'm only going to have you 1 day a week, and we have to glaze. Everything we've done so far, except for what we've acrylic painted, needs to be glazed. So we've got a lot of work to do. But I want, this is going to be probably the most worked, high quality thing you've made all semester is what I'm hoping. Okay. All right, so I've laid that slab down on there. I need to make sure there's no air pockets, but before I do that, I really want that finger mark pinch to look kind of organic. It sort of goes with the theme of me wanting to put my fingerprint in the bottom here. So I want to make sure the rest of this is attached and done before I put that finger mark in there. So I know there's an air pocket in there, I just know it. So what I'm going to do is open up the bottom of this. I'm going to cut a hole, a nice even hole. I'm going to scoop that out. And smooth out that inside space so that I'm 100% sure there's no air pocket. I don't think I broke through yet. I want to prepare you guys too. I'm kind of talking about hybrid a lot because I don't want you to get to school and I want you to have expectations, but also at the same time realize that it is going to be different and feel different than normal school. We're going to be here together. It's going to be good in that respect, but we will have to follow quite a bit of regulations in order to stay open. So it's important that we not be kind of shocked by those. Okay, so when you get into school and your teachers are going to be going through safety protocols with you, I want you to keep an open mind about them and know that they're designed to help us be together and safely be in school together. And they're not designed by your teachers just to keep you, you know, in your seat. They're designed so that we can all collectively continue to be here and learn. Okay, so keep an open mind about that. All right, so I've added this nice little strip, and it's the perfect kind of size for me to pinch, right? So I'm going to put it back on the top here and make sure I haven't deformed my lid too much. Kind of want it to sit under the lip a bit. I don't want the lip to curve over it though, because then I won't be able to take it off. I think that is so cute. Okay, so here I go. I need to do this today because it's gonna not be wet enough for me to do it. Very slowly, just pinching it. I want to make it really obvious that my finger made this. I even like that little crack at the top. Okay, so if you can kind of see that, I haven't put the flange on obviously, and I need to clean it up and carve it and stuff, but I put my little finger mark in there. And then I said that I wanted to put my fingerprint in the base here, so I'm not even sure if that's possible. Oh, I know what I could do. I could put a little strip of wet clay at the base that's thin enough that all it needs to do is capture my impression. So I'm going to quickly do that, and then I'm going to get cleaned up, take a picture so you guys can see this. And ow, just poked myself with my needle tool. Okay, so I'm going to roll out a nice skinny long coil. I can't wait to see your progress. I promise you in the next couple days, when I'm not demonstrating so much, I'm going to get you guys in breakout rooms, and I'm going to really look at your pieces and give you some solid feedback here on how to make improvements. Okay, so I'm just rolling out a nice thin coil here. I know you can't see that, but make sure that it's big enough for my fingerprint. And I think I'm going to use my ruler to kind of make it even. You guys are going to come up with ideas too as you're working. I didn't have the idea of making the lid a thumbprint until I made the lid. The sketches that I have you do are just a way to kind of get your brain started. But the real work comes in when you're making the piece. Just kind of softening that edge there. A score. Now when I attach this, I need to make sure I'm not creating air bubbles. So I have to attach it really well. Scored up pretty good because this is a drier piece of clay at the base than this is. All right, so I want you guys to be cleaning up right now. Take a picture, post it, and then wrap your piece up. All right, so now I'm gonna probably start with a cut edge here. And maybe start symmetrical, so I'm starting right there and very carefully placing it at the base. These little details will really make your piece more interesting. You could either attach this together or you could leave it separate, depending on what you like visually. All right, I'm going to go around and just really make sure it's nice and attached before I put my thumbprint in there, or my index finger. I think it's, what is it, your thumb and your index are your two identity fingers, right? On, like if you have an iPhone. So I guess I'm really focusing on making this vessel be something that someone can identify me by. Okay, so I'm going to go through and do this very symmetrically. Start here, put my hand on the other side for pressure. I think I'm going to make a little space in between each one so that I can put a design in there. Good. Take the lid off. And then I probably want to, you don't want to leave it like that, right? You want to spend a little time like making that look attached or attaching it, cleaning it up. Being sure not to trap any air. All parts of your vessel are important. The bottom, the top, the inside. Especially if it's visible. Okay, so everyone should be posting their whips and just preparing you for next class. You might be a good idea even before the day starts is just get your stuff out. So you know when this class starts, you're going to be showing me your workspace and working on your project during class. All right. Any questions? All right, I'm going to go wash my hands and take a picture. And I'll try to post my video today too if you need to go back and watch. All right, you guys, have a great day.
Bye, Miss Granger. Have a good day.
Bye, Sienna. Thank you. You too.